Alright, another dream. Been a while. I'm gonna try to kind of piece this one together. It's not super vivid in detail, but it's hopefully enough. And if for some reason it's not, I just won't post it. That's the way I roll. So in my dream, I reconnected with a buddy of mine. Name is, well, we won't go into what his name is. My buddy from work. And he actually hasn't worked there where I work. It's been years since he worked there. And I still talk to him on Facebook, but I don't see him. But I was out somewhere. There was like this library, hospital, factory place. It was like a massive industrial complex. And they did cybersecurity. They had books. And they also had like a bank vault. And I had a savings account there. And I went there to withdraw like $2,000 because I was gonna, I don't even remember what I was gonna buy. And I ran into Micheal. Crap, I just said his name. Well, his name is out. Micheal said to me, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Hey man, I didn't know you had an account here." He's like, "Yeah, I do. Most of the time I just keep all my money as cash because my ex-wife would always, if my money was in an account, the government and the child support, they could get their hands on it. So I've just been keeping my money in a safe. But my ex was killed in a car accident. So I don't have to worry about paying child support anymore. And I'm depositing my money in the bank. And I didn't know how to react. I'm like, he seemed okay with it, but I didn't know to say oh, I'm sorry, or oh, okay, or oh, congratulations. I think I just said, oh, okay, gotcha. And he's like, "You want to hang out real quick? I'm gonna go get something to eat." And I looked at the time and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So we sat down. I think it was at Dairy Queen, and this other dude was there. He was meeting Micheal, and this guy, he was unveiling, he relayed to both of us this big plan to rob that bank, that hospital, bank, library place. And at first I thought, oh man, you're crazy. I was gonna call the police. But Micheal was like, this is such a sick plan. This guy, he hacked the White House and they thought it came from China because he routed his server through the Chinese government server, which he routed it from into the government server from Russia. So if they backtrack him, they'll think that it was either the Chinese or the Russians or whatever. But he just said he's a genius. So the more and more he talked about it, he said we really need one more guy. And right now Michael and I are going to handle the heavy work. I'm going to hack the system. We're just going to walk in. We're going to hack the system to tell everybody to gather immediately for a meeting. It'll send emails, text messages, updates, and everything to everyone. And they're all going to go to this room. I've initiated a program where once all these people are in this room, the doors will lock. The security system will be turned off. And we'll just walk in, take the money, and walk out. It's foolproof. And I don't know exactly how much money there's going to be. But if it's a 3-way split, I can guarantee you at least 60,000. Oh, there goes a deer. Right now, it's a 4-way split. So, I'm looking at more like 50,000. If you join us, it'll be a 4-way split. And, hang on, I gotta turn. He said, all we need you to do is help us load like load the money into the van. Like, wait, you're really thinking about doing this? And Michael was like, yeah, man, this is gonna help us pay off all of our bills, and I'm planning on taking $10,000 and we're gonna go on a cruise, and I'm gonna buy an AK-47 for myself legally. And I'm like, why bother? I'm thinking in my head, why bother buy it legally when you're already thinking about robbing a bank? But the more and more they talked about it, the more and more sense it made to me. You know, an easy 60,000. With that, I could pay off our van and put $20,000 towards our, I'm thinking in my head, put $20,000 towards our house, get the PMI removed. We got some dental work coming up here in real life. It'll help pay for that. Like, I'm like, all right, let's do it. So the day of comes, and I meet Michael and the other guy at I think it was the guy's house. Oh my. Hang on a second. I gotta focus because I'm gonna be passing somebody. meet up at this guy's house, and he hands me, he's like, hey, what size are you? I'm like, my shirt is a 5X, but I can fit into a 4. He's like, okay, 4 is as big as I got. He gives me this body armor. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you said there wasn't going to be like any shooting or anything like that. He said, well, I don't plan on there being any, but you never know. It's better to have it and not need it. And like at that point, it kind of set in to me, like, we're not just picking up some money. Like, there could be a fight. And that terrified me. So we go out to the vehicle that we had, and he gets in the parking lot. He walks in with, like, you know, just regular clothes and everything. He goes and he withdraws some money, says thank you, and then when the person's back was turned, there was like a little computer in the back corner of the room that people could use to do like their own online banking. What are you doing? You're not going to be able to pass me. And people could do their own online banking on that computer. And he took a little flash drive attachment and popped it in there. And he came back out, got in the car, then we drove away. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, dude, I've been on camera. We gotta go. Like, I don't want them to know that I put that attachment in there. We gotta leave here so that we can, you know, it's not like, oh, that guy got out of the car and then they stayed in the parking lot and then they came right in and robbed us. So we went to this little parking lot nearby, got in a different car. He got his laptop out. We drove back and he started like doing all this coding and computing on that laptop. And he's like, okay, we'll do it this time. Here we go. Alright, it's working. And we saw somebody come to the front door and lock it and flip the open sign around to closed. You could see they were all heading in one direction. We waited like 5 minutes. He's like, okay, we're gonna unlock the front doors now. And he would push a button. And then it would be like, alright, we're gonna disable the security cameras and wipe the last 10 minutes of footage now. And one by one these things happen. He's like, alright, get your guns. And I was just like beside myself. I couldn't believe we were actually going to do this. They went running in, started grabbing these handfuls of money, and someone started shooting at us. So I think it was me who shot that guy and killed him. They were like, dude, you weren't supposed to do that. I was like, well, he was gonna kill us. What was I supposed to do? So we took the money. I think I ended up with like 54,000, just like what's his name said. I never learned Michael's friend's name. There was a fourth guy too. But once the shots started, we knew the cops were on their way. We had to get the heck out of there. So I picked up my shell casings and went home, took the money and buried it in the backyard. And then I took the pistol that I killed the guy with, went into my barn and used the grinder to completely grind the pistol into dust. It was gone. Like there were no pieces or particles or anything of it remaining. I like collected the dust in a little cup and like mixed it in with the ashes in the burn barrel and then had a fire. Well, the cops showed up, and of course Emily was terrified. The cops showed up, arrested me, and the rest of us, the other guys, got arrested too. Because they couldn't prove that we killed the guy, because the security camera had been disabled. The other guys both had criminal records, and they couldn't prove that I had the pistol. The pistol that I used to pop this guy in the dream was my SD. And the only remaining pistol that I had that was a 40 was my M&P. So when they ran the ballistics, they didn't match. And so they just said, we're not exactly sure who killed the guy. But like the main guy who was like the ringleader, he was getting put away for it. He got like 50 years in jail. The other guy, he got like 9 years. Because the story went that I was supposedly just there to help load the money, I only got like 10 months. And it was the same for Michael. So I did my 10 months. And it was like 10 months plus probation. But like they really let me off easy. They really, really did. Because I murdered somebody. But the stupid thing is when we got out, somehow the guy who had initiated everything, he had a really good lawyer, and they had like mishandled evidence or something. And at his retrial, because they had mishandled the evidence, it was like a big piece of evidence, he got out too. And so I went to Michael texted me on a new number and said, hey, you know who it is, meet me at Dairy Queen. He didn't say who it was. He just said, you know who it is. Because if our phones were being watched, he didn't want them to come get us. So I went there. And by the way, after the 10 months were up, I went in the backyard and dug up the money and showed it to Emily. And she was like, normally I would make you give that back, but you already did your 10 months. So the way I look at it, you earned it. So, I met Michael at Dairy Queen along with the other guy. And he's like, all right, guys, we screwed up last time. We're going to do this right this time. And I was like, really not feeling good this time. He's like, so this time I've discovered that they all have work ID badges that have locating tabs in them. And I can track where everyone is. So we can do it again this time. We'll wear body armor. We'll have our guns. I'll hack everything. And then we can go in when we know that everyone is away. And I've had it now where the security system will be disabled. But instead of going to that same room, because that would be suspicious, I've put that we're having like pizza in the gym, because they had a gym apparently. He said, so the odds that anyone is going to turn down free pizza are like 0. And I've actually ordered through a fraudulent credit card pizza to be sent to that place on that day. So there is actually going to be pizza. And he went into detail about like all these other different things that he had set up. He's like, so let's do it. You meet me at such and such place at such and such time, and we'll go ahead and we'll do it right this time. And there won't be any proof that we did it. We almost got away with it last time. And Michael was like, okay, sounds good. And I was just like, okay. So the day of came, and he was like, now remember, this is only going to work if we all do our job. If any one of us doesn't do our job, we're all going to jail. And this time they won't let us off easy. So he puts on his thing. He put on like a mask and like some weird gloves that looked like real skin, but they wouldn't have any fingerprints on them. Goes in, says something to him, and I think he ended up like opening a fake account with like all this fake ID and stuff, but it was under a real person. He had like created a real person in the government records, and he like deposited $300 or something. Then on the way out, he put the little thing in the computer and started hacking them. And I was actually in there when the computer started getting hacked. And I was like, this is wrong, I'm leaving. But I think they called the cops because they had like a hack shield and it would guard against any online attacks. Well, I got in my car and I left. Or like I was going to leave and I got stopped. Yeah, I think that's what happened. This is where the details get fuzzy. I think they stopped me and they recognized Michael and the other guy, but they didn't recognize me. I think they arrested me, and the story was, when they arrested us, the story was that we were all robbing the bank. But I didn't have any weapons or body armor or anything. And I had an account there that still had money in it. And I had my wallet with all my cards and everything. And so when they interrogated everyone, their story was that we were all in on it together. And I told the cops I never had any plan on robbing anybody. But I knew they were going to do it. And they put me on a polygraph and I passed. So they let me off and everyone else got arrested. And this time they were going to go away for like 10 years at least. But I had no weapons on me and they couldn't prove that I had intent to rob the place. So I got off and they didn't. But I had murdered somebody and I was still on the outside. Pretty ironic.